If you want to see what's possible when you have no concept of failure, then listen in. This episode is for women who want to pursue the goals from a place of love, courage, and strength, who want to turn the self doubt and the procrastination into power from within and action. Today, I brought on with me on my show here, The Awakening, a guest, a friend I met at a seminar years ago, and I'm sure you will be attracted to her magnetic presence too. She's the creator and founder of Afra Hair Coaching, the coach who focus on self-care through hair care. You might not have realized it, but your hair can say so much more about who you are and what you stand for. So stay with us to unlock the next level of yourself. She's not here to assess my hair, but I brought her on because of her journey, her heart, and the transformations that she brings into her community. So she is such a source of inspiration for so many people. So I want you to be able to meet her as well. So help me give it up for Angela Stewart. Welcome.
Thank you so much, Joakim. Lovely to be here.
Yeah. Can you tell us, like, in a sentence or two, a little bit about your background of those who never seen you before they get to meet you?
Okay, sure. Well, my background, I'm going to give you, that's a very broad request, so I'm going to explain everything. I am of Afro-Caribbean descent. I was born in London. My parents were from the Caribbean islands. I have two children. I have a husband. And I started my life as, I guess, a typical Black person growing up in a predominantly white country, feeling somewhat out of place. Um, and that pretty much continued, I would say. I became comfortable with feeling uncomfortable because that simply was all there was. I went into a career working in the civil service. Like most people, you come out, you figure you have to get a job, so you go find a safe job and one that doesn't necessarily challenge your creativity. And I stayed there until I left through a change in life circumstance. And then life kind of like threw me back to figure out what it was I was here for, what it was I wanted, what it was I wanted, how I wanted to try and interact with the world to feel good about myself, if you like. And then I changed careers and became a makeup artist. And halfway through that, even though I was always working with my natural hair as it was my identity, I then started to realize there was a bigger need in the world and where I could fit in and help the world. I was hoping to help the world to understand that Afro hair is not difficult, it's not negative, it's not all these different things that embody, if you like, having Afro hair, all the feelings of not fitting in, of feeling disconnected, etc., and so forth. I started to realize they all tied in. And so
Yeah.
I thought, okay, this is where I need to be.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. And I'm very curious. You mentioned so many great things here. With one thing about like your identity and being able to involve yourself, being comfortable in the uncomfortable. And I'm curious to hear like what aha moments you bring to your students. And before we get there, I'm also very curious because you said, okay, you were able to make this transition into pursuing own um, your own purpose because you realize you're meant to serve. So really serve is to be able to say I had a faith stepping into that journey. What values and characteristics would you say have been profound for you to be able to make that shift and actually pursue your own purpose and those dreams?
That's a really good question, and I'm not sure I can answer it simply. I felt I went to the depths of hell. You have to hit rock bottom and be so unhappy with where you are and what you've done, and even who you're presenting to the world. You have to be so unhappy that you have to draw a line and say, this is it. It's, I can't go on, can't go on. Um,
Mhm.
Sounds a bit deep, but there were two choices. One, I could end my life, and I'm sorry, that's quite graphic, or I could change it and see what I could really make of it. And so I thought, well, I have nothing to lose. So I changed it.
Mm.
And
In
that
that
as a,
moment, yeah,
say again?
in that moment, you drew the line. You said, and you could figure out what you can make out of your life. What was like the aha, or the like awakening you had? Like, who did you become in that moment? Because you talked about identity. Can you elaborate a little bit upon that?
I will do my best. First of all, I want to make it clear that the line was not a nice, hard drawn, definite mark. It was dots at first, and I was up and I was down, and I was trying to be positive, and then I would hit rock bottom again. And it's not easy. Change is not an easy thing. But the one thing you do need is consistency. And I had that little bit, that tiny glimmer in the very distant tunnel was that it could be better. All I had to do was take the next step, take the next step. Even if I slipped, it's all right. Feel sorry for yourself if you have to, but get up and take the next step. So, first of all, the line is not never a straight line. Okay.
Mm.
As far after all that, what was the question again?
It's beautiful. It's beautiful. I just love that raw authenticity that you have, Angela. That's beautiful. So we were talking about you said like you draw a line in the sand. So I was curious, like who did you become in that moment? Like because you
Ah,
talked about identity. So who did you like step into becoming that moment?
I think I tried to draw inspiration from women who I admired. For example, Maya Angelou. She admired me. I admired her rather so much. Um, People like Nelson Mandela, people who went through adversity but never lost sight of, even if they didn't know definitely what it was, the better thing. They didn't know what it was. They still knew that there was something else and that this wasn't it. So
Mm,
drew my inspiration from them because at the time I felt I had no identity. Of course, we all do, but I felt I had none. I certainly wasn't courageous. What we're doing was for me my biggest fear, just to be
mm,
seen, just to stand in front of whomever and say, I have something to say. That for me was a big fear for me. And I had to um, project or channel somebody who I thought was brave in
mm.
order to do that. And the more I did it, the more I realized I actually had nothing to fear from it. So therefore, I kept going.
That's beautiful. Being able to like borrow someone else's belief, as you said, like channel that into you. And you said, okay, it's been rock bottoms. And I know from our conversations you've been sharing about financial hardships as well. So if it's okay if I ask about that, I would love if you could share like that part of your journey as well. And before we eventually get into the like aha moment that you give your students, because you've been talking about identity, and I know like that's profound for the impact you're making. So, but yeah,
Okay.
if you would be open to share about these things as well.
Yeah, sure, absolutely. So, um, my family life as a child growing up was one where there was a lot of money concern. My father was self-employed and worked all the hours. Even my mum worked from home, again, all the hours. In the middle of the night, I could hear her sewing. I don't know when she slept. And as for my father, if come winter or summer, he would always be doing something. And when he wasn't doing that, he was then taking the family out. fairly large family. There was eight of us, nine of us. And he would always take us off, a couple of days where he could spend his time with his children. As soon as that was over, then he was back to working again. So for me, as a child growing up, money was always scarce. And as I grew up and got a job, I lived literally from paycheck to paycheck. As it came in, it went out. So when I eventually, at the age of 50, I decided to treat myself to a seminar. It was a Tony Robbins seminar called Unleash the Power Within. And from there, I eventually went on to Success Resources and Millionaire Mind Intensive. And they taught me how to manage my money. And I thought, okay, brilliant. Okay, brilliant. I think I got it. I think I got it. And it was a 3 day intensive. Now, at the end of it, I had the opportunity to leap, we call it quantum leap, into a few, uh, again, intensive, bite-sized, but intensive courses that was designed to open up my mind and open up my ability, I guess, to push myself further. Because at 50, for my 50th birthday, I did this thinking, you know what, I'm still alive. I'm still alive. Let's do something different. Let's see what I can actually achieve. And so I just thought, from here on in, I'm going for it, whatever it is, whatever it takes. Now, the course cost a certain amount of money, which I did not have. I did not have it because remember, I lived from paycheck to paycheck and accepted jobs that were, while I was by this time in a career that utilized my creativity. I was a makeup artist now. I was still had that same small mindset. So I never thought that I could elevate and be in a position where I earn more, quite simply. Um, and my trainer at Millionaire Mind Intensive was Arnon Barnes. And while he was explaining the opportunities to us by accepting these courses, I'm sitting there thinking, I don't have this money. I can't do it. And what I've got is not even going to be accepted as a partial deposit. I don't know what I'm going to do. But I thought, channeling Maya, channeling all the people, all the greats I could think of, I thought at least I will ask. So I went and I asked, and somehow they accepted what I had to offer, which meant I had to get my backside out there and figure out how I was going to raise the rest of the money. Um, but I did it. I did it. I went to the bank again, channeling my positivity, figuring that even if it didn't work, I would find another way. I would go and try and get a loan from somewhere else. I didn't tell my family. I didn't tell anybody, but I got the loan and I have paid off the loan. And I'm in a still in the same career, but my my weekly, monthly, whatever wage has increased. And on top of that, one of the courses uh, that we did in Quantum Leap was called Guerrilla Business Intensive, which helped me to focus that together with Unleash the Power Within actually helped me to focus on how I could contribute to the world, what I could do. I still, I believe, have a little thing with money. Uh, just a little. In as much that um, how can I explain it? I acknowledge that what I do, if it's of benefit to somebody else, will um in the exchange, that is one of the laws of the universe, will allow me to receive money for what I do. Um, and that has been the case. I've not worried for money since.
You know what? This is such a testimony to when you have like a strong enough purpose, when you know why you want something, you become so like resilient, as you say, like, okay, if this is not working, I'm gonna find a way no matter what.
Mm.
It's such a testimony to that strength and trust in yourself. that when things are, yeah, kind of, as you've been saying, like when everything is put on the line and you got to find a way because yeah, you have like no other option. That's like really making a decision, Angela. That's so
Yeah.
profound.
What
So
is
I'm
it?
so glad you were sharing that.
I think Tony Robbins says that you sail to the island and you burn your boats. That's what it felt like.
Hmm.
Mm.
Yeah, and now you built some new boats or what?
Exactly.
Yeah. This is so cool. And with that journey, serving your own community, you're out there helping women as well, and hair care. And what like some of the aha moments, because it's not really about the hair as you've been sharing with me as I pay forward here in the introduction. What are like some of the aha moments that your community get as a result of working with you?
One of the biggest aha moments, I think, and I'll say many women actually have received this, have told me this, shared this with me, is that for them, uh the what they believe they can do in life is held by their hair. If their hair doesn't sit right, or if they're not comfortable, full stop, with the whole way that they look, maybe they want their hair to be more silky or more straight or more easy to manage, or they want to not stand out. They want to assimilate more. They want to look like their work colleagues, barring skin color. They just don't want to stand out. And all of these things, they're actually holding themselves back. Um, and it's the biggest aha. One of my first actual students was a lady who, her mum had always relaxed her hair, and she grew up always relaxed her hair. And one day she decided she didn't want to do it anymore. But of course, she has very curly hair, hair like mine, one of the tightest curl patterns, and didn't know how to care for it. So she just, little pineapple, pulled it back onto the top of the head, and pretty much disconnected from it. From here up, you know, wasn't, it just wasn't a factor, wasn't a consideration. She was, and still is, a very lovely person, but she was very nice and very quiet and very shy and retiring. And, you know, almost as much as she restricted her hair in one style, she restricted herself. When I started to explain to her, one, that the language she used when describing her hair, first of all, wasn't hers. It was language her mum had given her through no fault of her mother's own, because that itself was also passed down. Okay, so we're talking generational. So first of all, I had to get her to identify the language, and then to change that from negative to positive, or at least neutral, if nothing else, at least neutral. And then that started to change how much time she had for her hair. So as you know, she'll just try and get it out of the way as quickly as possible. Now she'll stop and feel her hair and feel the curls in her hair and see how the hair reacts and see the different things that she could do with her hair, which again was another stage down the line, because I had to start at the beginning, which is, one, what does your hair feel like? How does your hair make you feel? What if you change the words? What if you understood that your hair is exactly how it's supposed to look? And now you can learn how to keep it healthy, make it be more springy, make the curls be more defined. Because one of the biggest things I find for people with hair like mine is that they don't know that it actually has individual curls. Because we're taught to comb it, they disappear. And it just looks like it's, little beautiful, what we know as an afro, but it's undefined. It's just one large shape. So I showed her all of these different bits and pieces. And from there, next time I spoke to her, she had gotten a job and had been promoted in that job. And so it's almost as though she had stepped into her power, because she had now accepted her hair, what her hair can do. didn't apologize for her hair anymore, so she wasn't apologizing for herself. So what amazed me was how that transferred into her everyday life. It was just,
Yeah.
wow, who knew?
Yes, it's so powerful that instead of having all that energy drawn within with like the concerns of looking and yeah, your energy drop because you're concerned about that or getting these self-imposed limitations and becoming
Yeah,
aware and then being able to step out there, that's such a huge transformation. But that's just one story. If we had that all the time in the world, we could go through more, but that is just like so magical. And I just see it on your face as well. What kind of, yeah, what that means to you, Angela. So that's beautiful. That's awesome.
I know I'm helping the
Hey,
world, and that's all I need.
yes, that's, hey, I have one last question here before we wrap it up. And if you have any final thoughts, I'm just curious, like on your own journey again, because you set yourself out here to, you're building your community, you're serving these women, as we heard, it makes such a difference in their life as well. Now, on your personal side, everything going on, because it can be sometimes tricky to get hold of you, I realized, even for this interview and our sessions, because you get bookings coming in, you're called, you're like, oh, I gotta go there. Like,
I'm still a
you're like
working
sought after
makeup
now.
artist, so yeah, sometimes
Yeah,
I'm away for months, so yeah.
so that's cool. So, what do you find like challenging in your life today, or if you had like a magic wand and you can change one thing, what would you like to do about your situation then?
I think what I would like if I had a magic wand was to actually have one physical place that I could run my workshops from, and in that same building also have a small dedicated area as a school. So teaching parents, my main mission, I guess, is to break the cycle of misunderstanding about Afro hair. So say, for example, if I had continued to work in the office, I would have had, excuse me, I would have had very little time to actually work out how hair behaves and why this would be better than that, for example. Um, and if I had perpetuated that belief in my head, then my children would have experienced a lot of pain having their hair done and simply accepted, oh, well, this is what it is to have tight afro hair. I'm going to try and not have tight afro hair. I'm going to relax my hair, put chemicals on my hair. And if they had children, especially girls, they would then do the same thing. And I've seen this continual pattern of behavior. So by having my magic wand and having one beautiful building that could not only provide an alternative type of hairdresser experience for natural hair, it would also teach parents how to care for their young children's hair without pain, so that when that child grows up, they will already have this new habit of how to care for Afro hair. I would also be helping, I would hope, to re-educate the hairdressers, because even black hairdressers are usually trained by white hairdressers. So we're trained to straighten hair. We're not necessarily taught how to care for our own hair type. Um, so to be able to help them if they want retraining, to also to be able to help my fellow colleagues, because Afro hair still has this shroud of mystery around it in my industry. And also representation matters. So to see more people with their natural hair, which is one of the reasons actually why I wear my hair like this, is to try and get even people who have hair like mine, my texture, used to seeing it. That way, there's no big mystery anymore. And then, you know, I'm opening that door for them to ask questions and whatever. So I want one building where I can cater to everything. And then I can also do my makeup on the side. Simple.
Yeah, you sharing that just says so much about who you are because you're talking about the mission and impact all the way. At least that's what's being told in between the lines. It's outstanding, Angela.
Thank you.
Having you on here, just hear about that. decision to draw a line that like enough is enough. Everything is put on the line, and you gotta find your way. Like you had no other option because of your situation, and that has allowed you to find a way. And being driven by the mission that you have as well just shows what is possible when we have such strong drivers. So that is why I brought you on, because I want people to like hear this story and hear this testimony of what can be possible when you really make the decision to go for it. So Angela, if someone is interested in continuing following you, learning from you, how can they find you?
Okay, well, first of all, I'm on Instagram. Just look for Afro Hair Coach. Nice and simple. I also have a website, and that is afrohaircoach.card. That's with CARRD.co. That's afrohaircoach.card.co. You can also find me on Facebook. I have a free Facebook group where I offer simple advice. So if you want to use me as a coach, then you can contact me through any of those means. But if you just want some tips, really, because Afro hair education, to be honest, should be free, which is why I try to help people as much as possible. All you have to do is ask. My Facebook group is called the Afro and Curly Hair Movement. The Afro and
We put
Curly
the
Hair
link
Movement.
as well so they can.
Yes, 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 yes. We'll do that.
And you just reiterated one thing, like all you need to do is to ask. And that's another gold nugget that was dropped in this session, in this interview with you. Like that moment as well, when you want to get mentorship, sign up for a program, you weren't sure if you can make it work, but at least you were gonna ask based on your conditions. You asked because the only offer people can't accept is the offer you never make. So it's beautiful. So for you listening in as well, ask Angela if you can join the. Would I be let in if I ask?
Yes. You would, because interestingly enough, my group is not just for people with Afro hair, because you also have foster parents, you have blended families, you have mothers who have straight hair or fathers who have straight hair. You have, like my mother, her hair texture was different to her mother's. So there is no way of knowing how or why you need to know this information, and I am not going to judge. So you're welcome. Come join me.
Thanks. Yeah, because you listening might know someone who has Afro hair, or yeah, that you see that has another level, another potential within themselves. The Angela's community can be a place to grow in. Angela, thank you for taking the time to come on. I don't take it lightly, your time. You're, because I said you're sought after. So I really appreciate that you took out the time to come on here. So thank you very much. I really appreciate that.
You're very welcome. Thanks for having
So for
me.
you, so for you listening in, make sure you get to subscribe to this channel, share with your friends, give it a thumbs up, and leave a comment. We love to hear what your biggest takeaway has been so we can support you on your journey. Until next time, embrace fulfillment.